If you're running a growing accounting firm, you know the feeling, right? The more success you have, the more stress seems to pile on. Well, today, we're going to break down how to scale your practice the right way without completely burning out your team.
Does this look familiar? Your calendar is jammed, work is constantly piling up, but it still feels like you're just treading water, maybe even falling behind. You are not alone, I promise. This is a wall that pretty much every successful firm hits at some point. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. That amazing feeling of landing a new client, it starts to fade, and it's replaced by this constant pressure of just trying to keep up. When growth feels more like a burden than a victory, that's a huge red flag that your entire system is stretched to its limit.
So let's be clear. The problem is not that you have too many clients. The problem is that your processes, the way you actually do the work, haven't kept up with your success. From the outside, you look like a booming business, but on the inside, you're running on fumes. Why? Because you're trying to scale by just adding more human effort, not by building smarter, scalable systems.
And that leads us to this idea of the growth ceiling. You can think of it as this invisible barrier where simply working harder just doesn't produce better results anymore. Actually, a lot of the time, it starts making things worse. So how do you know you've smacked right into it? Well, the signs are probably all too familiar. Your best people are overloaded. Deadlines that used to be manageable now feel impossible. And you, the partner, are stuck in the weeds doing operational work instead of actually leading the firm. Oh, and trying to hire good people, it's become this slow, painful, and really expensive cycle. Look, these symptoms aren't just popping up randomly. It all boils down to a couple of core problems: way too much manual work and just not enough hands on deck for the critical, time-sucking tasks. Things like inventory management, tax documentation, and reconciliation, they're bogging everyone down and keeping your best people from doing the high-value work they should be focused on.
Okay, so if that's the problem, what's the fix? Well, it takes a real shift in how you think about your business. It's time to stop looking at outsourcing as just a backup plan or a temporary fix. You've got to start seeing it for what it truly is, a core, long-term strategy for building a scalable company.
But what does that really look like, day to day? Let's get practical and break down how this kind of strategic shift can totally transform your firm's operations in a few really key areas. All right, first up, inventory reconciliation. When you handle this in-house, it can become a huge bottleneck with some serious risks. We're talking inaccurate financials, wrong tax filings, even audit nightmares. An outsourced solution completely changes the game. It creates a system for consistent tracking that catches mistakes early on, reduces manual errors, and keeps your reports audit-ready 24/7. You go from constantly putting out fires to preventing them from ever starting. And then there's tax documentation. We all know what a time sink this is. It's repetitive, it's detail-heavy, and during tax season, it can absolutely bury your senior staff in admin work. But when you outsource this process, you see faster turnaround times, a huge drop in errors, and most importantly, your skilled in-house team is finally free to focus on the high-value stuff, like reviewing work and advising clients. And let's talk about staffing. The hiring crisis in accounting is no joke. It's this never-ending, unstable cycle of trying to find, train, and keep good people. An offshore employee model gives you a different way forward. You get a dedicated, extended team that provides consistent, reliable support for all those core functions. This isn't just about getting temporary help. It's about building a stable, scalable foundation for your entire firm. And this is the real prize at the end of all this. See, most firms get stuck just focusing on compliance, which really limits their profitability. But by using offshore support for things like tax scenario analysis, your firm can finally make that leap from just being a compliance shop to becoming a trusted financial advisor. And that's where the real value and the real money is. Modern outsourcing isn't just about adding people. It's also amplified by some incredible technology. Take natural language processing, or NLP. This is AI that lets software read and understand financial documents just like a person would. It can pull out data, classify documents, and slash the amount of manual entry needed. It just makes the whole system faster, more accurate, and way more efficient. So when you bring all of these different pieces together, what's the grand total? What's the real impact? Well, it's nothing short of a complete transformation of your firm. Let's look at the 3 big areas where you'll see massive improvements. First, operationally, the changes are almost immediate. Work gets done faster, your document control is way better, the month-end close becomes a smooth, predictable process instead of a chaotic fire drill. And of course, those costly error rates plummet. Bottom line,
Your firm just runs better.
Next, the financial improvements are just as powerful. Your overhead costs go down, your staffing expenses become stable and predictable, your profit margins get healthier, and you finally get to step off that expensive, exhausting merry-go-round of constantly having to recruit and train new people.
And finally, the strategic wins. This is the long game. You suddenly have more time for that high-margin advisory work. You can scale up for tax season without all the chaos. Your team isn't so burned out, and because you're adding more value, your relationships with your clients get stronger than ever before.
Okay, right about now, a totally fair question probably pops into your head. If I outsource all these important things, am I just giving up control over my firm's quality and my processes?
The answer is a very clear and simple no. This is not about just handing over the keys and hoping for the best. A true strategic partner works inside your existing systems. They follow your workflows, and they report directly to you. You stay in the driver's seat with full control and full oversight.
And here's the other big worry people have. What about my current team? Is this just a sneaky way to replace the people I already have?
No, absolutely not. In fact, it does the exact opposite. It complements them. It takes all of that repetitive operational grunt work off their plates, which allows your most valuable client-facing pros to focus on the strategic work they were actually hired to do. It doesn't replace them, it empowers them.
So if there's one thing to take away from all of this, it's this quote right here. The path to real, sustainable growth isn't about getting everyone to work harder. It's about building intelligent systems that scale the work for you.
And this is what a future-ready firm looks like. It's a place where all that day-to-day operational work just hums along smoothly in the background, handled by your dedicated extended team. And that frees up your core professionals to do what they do best, focus on strategy, advise clients, and drive the kind of growth that feels exciting again.